Hi, everybody. It is the 3rd of April, 2026. How are you feeling about being an American today? How are you feeling? So much is going on. And I have to say, what this administration is doing, Trump and the administration, causing an awful lot of upset. Particular groups, we'll get into it, but they are, as far as I'm concerned, purposely trying to get a lot of people upset, a lot of people angry. So here we are living this, like, it's kind of like a violent, I don't know, Twilight Zone. What are we living? Please, our lives have changed, unfortunately, forever. But let me say hello to Rage Against the Machine. Hello, and Neil. Hi, Andrew and Sandra. Hello, guys. Browen. Hello, Chrissy. Hi. And the messenger. Hi. Um, Space Indian. Oh, it's Friday. Okay. Uh, Patricia White. How is Storm Dave? Patricia. McSilent Green. Hi. All right, so we've got to jump right on into what is going on. Okay, we've got to jump into it because I have a lot in the queue and I never even brought up radar. Okay. Okay. Well, radar. Here we have a line of nanobots activating for severe weather. We've got them down here in Georgia and Florida for severe weather, also Alabama. And look at these frequencies hitting what? This incredibly thin line that extends into a thicker line of severe storms. Look at what's happening in Oklahoma. Boom. Let's get it activated in Oklahoma, and you got it in Louisiana. It's coming into Arkansas. You got it in Texas. And, well, yeah. Weather modification playlist on this channel. At least 3 videos devoted to nanotechnology in use in our weather. And you're looking at it. You're looking at it. It's unfortunate that the Rhinols, the max velocities, Weatherman pluses, that they just do skip over. They skip over how weather is absolutely being controlled by man, by supercomputers, by artificial intelligence, by nanotechnology. Everybody should be upset about the usurpation of Mother Nature, but that very thin line makes it very obvious this is not Mother Nature. All right, so let me get to the alert page, and I'm sure we're going to find a lot. 14 active severe weather warnings. Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, again for you guys. Oklahoma and Texas, again for you guys. It's just a happening thing. Oh, man. Cass, Miami, Indiana. Oklahoma, you got Osage and Pawnee. You got a tornado warning. Mason and Tazewell, Illinois. Back to the severe thunderstorms, but remember, severe thunderstorms now can do the same kind of damage that tornadoes do. You got it at Forward and Knox in Texas, Ashland, Holmes, Knox, Richland in Ohio, Brewster, Texas, Carroll and Howard in Indiana. You've got Cass Morgan and Schuyler in Illinois, Brown, Illinois, Ashland, Holmes, Wayne in Ohio, King in Texas, Garfield, K, Noble in Oklahoma, Fulton, Mason, Peoria, and Tazewell in Illinois, and Dickens, Garza, and Kent in Texas. And please be very careful. Ryan Hall is live. Ryan Hall is live. And the link to the alert page is in along with radar. And we've got one more, which is weather-wise, and it provides an awful lot of very important information. So, yeah, you can click on it. Oh, man. Thunderstorms into Pennsylvania. You still have flood warnings in New York, western New York, and tornado watches. Tornado watches from, is that, Iowa? It is Iowa and the very north tip of Missouri into Illinois and Indiana. And oh, isn't this just lovely? Severe thunderstorm watch down here in Texas, Oklahoma. All right, well, here is the link. You click on the color if you happen to be in that area. Click on the top right-hand arrow and you will get the information that you need. But very important, stay safe, be prepared. This is Ryan Hall. He's live.
53 months for that guy from Oregon. That's his name. I can't believe there's so many of us, so many of you guys that have been here for so long.
Okay. Speed it up.
Oria, we've got a tornado forming right in front of us here on a really powerful supercell. We've got storms all across the United States, though, and we're covering all of them. We've just got to focus on the most life-threatening ones, and that's what we're doing right now. I do want to draw your attention real quick here to a tornado watch that has been issued for this area. So literally the warm front is now under a tornado watch for the next 4 hours and 21 minutes. So they've stretched it all the way out here, and that does include Bloomington, that includes Galesburg, Illinois, it includes Pontiac, that includes Fairbury, Watsika, Rensselaer, it includes Lafayette, and places north of Indianapolis here. So we're keeping an eye on all these storms. There is also a tornado watch to the west. Okay, so we're waiting for this line of storms over here to get more kind of kicked up.
This
this is also in effect for
this very defined line of precipitation blips. Come on, Ryan. All right, the link is in the chat. And if you're in any of these areas, do pay attention. All right. So, well, Iowa got pelted with hail yesterday.
Oh, dude, look at the top of my window. I got hail damage.
Well, the sounds of that definitely did some damage, but I came across this and I was like, this can't be today. This has to be last year. Was it Wisconsin or Michigan? The ice storm, I think Wisconsin. I posted on it, but I can't remember the exact state. I thought, all right, I'm looking at something from last year. Nope, it's this year. It's today. All right, ice storm in Wisconsin. And it's caused power outages. I don't know how many are still out, but it was like 36,000 without power. Shawano, Wisconsin. Okay. And here, Ice Storm pounds Wisconsin.
There goes the phone lines. Beautiful.
Just happened. We are currently in the middle of an ice storm.
Freezing rain began coating roads and power lines across Wisconsin, and within hours, the situation escalated into a widespread winter weather emergency affecting large portions of the upper Midwest. What initially appeared to be a typical early April system quickly intensified into a multi-day event, combining ice accumulation, heavy snowfall, and dangerous travel conditions across several states.
Oh, another ice storm for you guys. April. Well, it's 86 degrees here in Arkansas. Oh. My car ended up looking like that at least 2 or 3 times in Maine. I couldn't open the car, and the most bizarre thing was the ice wouldn't melt on my windshield. Even with, the heat on, the defroster, everything, it would not melt. It took forever. It was weird. It didn't seem like natural ice. But look, oh God. So the gardens in the area, the farms. This is planting season, spring, right? All right. If you want to see more, the link is in the chat. And yeah, and this in Milwaukee, there was so much, and you're getting hit again. That's what is so okay. Question. These thunderstorms that seem to be, we had a severe one yesterday. We're getting another severe one, Kenosha County.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. We're going to take you through a slight progression here because we've seen a whole lot of damage, and I sort of want to tell the story here. It sort of writes itself here. We're going to start here with the roots because this sort of tells the story.
Okay, so the roots and the huge tree, and it fell on the home, and yeah.
That there's a down power.
Again, if you have trees around your home and you have the money to take them down, because this is happening with almost every weather front that is being manufactured in our fabulous country. And yeah, thousands without power.
Yeah, Jaron, We Energies crews have been out here for at least the last hour or so. They were here when we got out here around 4:50. You can see they're still up there working on this power pole that was snapped in half overnight. We've got 3 crews in the air here, several trucks on the ground working on this power outage. This area is completely black, completely dark this morning. You can see all the tree branches and debris lining the street here. We've got a tree toppled over on top of power lines. Power lines are actually leaning over on this street here, which is probably the cause of the power outage in this area. And like I said, a tree is uprooted. Lots of debris this morning, lots to clean up as people wake up this morning in Kenosha.
Everyone's kind of scrambling around. I guess there's damage in other areas, and they're all kind of going to look and see and evaluate. I notified the owners next door. When they came home, they weren't home when this happened, what had happened. And they looked like they're just in shock, just kind of assessing the damage. It was just.
This is amazing. I showed this last night. I've got to see. Okay, Brit Holes Island. Sky turns red. Sky turns red after the Saharan dust storm. All right. I don't remember seeing dust storms looking quite like this. This is intense. Suspended, a high concentration of suspended particles have made the atmosphere hazardous to breathe. What are they doing? So, yeah, flooding forces evacuations at a Hilton apartment. And this is, I believe, in Rochester, New York.
Oh my gosh. This is unbelievable.
That was the overwhelming reaction from tenants at Hilton Village 2 when they woke up to flooded homes around 6 this morning. A fire marshal says the creek behind the complex overflowed, dousing the parking lot and multiple units, leading them to evacuate this 2-floor building.
The whole parking lot was flooded. Everything was flooded. It was like a movie. It was crazy.
Maria Simser lives in the building with her mother and her boyfriend, Peter. This is what their kitchen looked like.
We think we're high, but we look to our right, kitchen table is flooded. Everything's flooded.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of stuff, a lot of carpets, a lot of things floating around too.
Another tenant named Eric told us there was 6 inches of water in his apartment.
My cat woke me up and I turned over and saw the water, flooding the apartment. And so I got up and disconnected everything and made sure everything was good. But yeah, just trying to fish out the last things to get out of here.
Simser says they noticed the creek rising last night, but never experienced this type of flooding.
Well, last night, my mom actually woke me up at like 11:30, and the creek was like all the way up to the rim, and she was freaking out, and I was like, I don't think it's going to be okay. And then we wake up and everything's flooded. But no, nothing ever bad. Like, I've never seen it flood before, so I don't think.
It has risen.
The fire marshals.
A creek. Watch out for your creeks. But think about, all right, if that happens to you, what do? Do you have a place to go? Do you have the money for hotel rooms? Because if you have renter's insurance, that's not going to come immediately. So if you have the resources, plan it out. Russia. Wow. I believe there's nobody in this car. I didn't see anybody through the window. Oh, man.
Эвакуация спасения. Спасли кота тонущего. Держи.
Все, теленок спасен.
Набирай. Вот река уже сносит дверь здесь. Настолько большое течение по улице.
Иншаллах, я дойду сегодня домой.
Много нет. Будки нет. Ура! Ура!
Ой.
Город не приспособлен к приему, так сказать, сильного ливневого стока. Там все не так, то есть, по всей видимости, там нет правильной планировки города, там, видимо, очень много площадей с...
Too many surfaces, but really devastating. Mrs. Russia too.
Сокол 5 на приеме, что там?
Storyful. All right. Never used to be on a channel like AccuWeather, New York Post, but now I've been getting these copyright strikes from Storyful. Was the other one Storyful? I didn't notice. Okay, how about Afghanistan? 48 dead, 73 injured, flooding in Afghanistan.
کودکان لرزان در تاریکی شب میان گلولای و خانواده هایی که همه چیزشان زیر آب فرو رفته است. شبانگام سیلاب های سهمگین بسیاری از مناطق شهر پلخمری ولایت بغلان را زیر آب ساخته و تلفات و خسارات زیاد را بر جا گذاشته است.
سیلاب فقط نماز شام خوانده آمدم، بیادر جاله زد، جاله شروع کرد، بیادر 10 دقیقه بود، 15 دقیقه.
All right, a lot of destruction being caused by weather, okay? And it's all over the world, and so many people are suffering the consequences. And when we know that man can create what you're looking at, you can't just deny that it wasn't caused by man. This isn't weather modification. You have to factor that in. Always. And 7.4 earthquake, Indonesia. Indonesia. Uh, 7.4 is big. Wow, how beautiful. Well, yeah. So, Amazon pays more than $20 million to settle a lawsuit that they had polluted water in Morrow County. I'm not entirely sure what state, but you know, Amazon, 20 million? Nah, it's just, chump change. It's like, all right, I'll pay it out. It's part of, business expense. But what's going to happen to people with their wells that have been polluted?
One of the wealthiest companies in the world has agreed to pay more than $20 million in a lawsuit after the company allegedly polluted water in Morrow County. Joe Ranieri joins us from the newsroom. Joe, some of the residents there say they feel this impact every day.
Yeah, some residents can't even use their drinking water because they say it's caused them some headaches and some health issues. All because, according to the lawsuit, Amazon was contributing to nitrate pollution by trying to cool the company's computers at their data centers.
$20.5 million is what Amazon will pay directly to homeowners in Morrow County to help them get access to cleaner water.
It will be set up as relief for homeowners who are drinking water out of wells that are above the federal limit, right? If you've got a well that's above 10 parts per million, and sadly, we've got thousands of them up here.
For years, residents along this portion of the Columbia River have dealt with nitrates getting into the water.
It goes into the ground from many sources, the food processing that goes on up here and these things, and then the wastewater gets spread out on the farms up gradient of these houses and homes, and it percolates down into the groundwater.
Jim Doherty, who's a cattle rancher in Boardman, says the nitrate levels have increased dangerously high because of the Amazon data centers in the area.
The challenge is when it comes, it gets heated up and concentrated, and so it comes out many times higher in nitrates.
An Amazon spokesperson disputes that claim.
Okay, so how many data centers do we have all over the country now? The damage that they're doing is really quite something. Rural residents fuming as lawmakers allow land to be taken over for carbon capture.
In Louisiana, a company can drag you to court to take over your land for a carbon capture project if you do not agree to sell.
It hasn't happened yet, but the oil and gas lobby says it's necessary as a last resort. Our Capitol correspondent Liam Combs explains why many of your rural neighbors are fuming over this.
This is not right.
Guys, this was easily the most contentious day at this session this far. Multiple times, the committee chairman had to ask people in the audience to take some deep breaths. But even after those breaths, residents came for the jugular, saying their representatives are bought out by the big oil and gas companies. From rural Louisiana to right here in the belly of the beast, these folks living near proposed carbon capture projects are putting their feet down.
What you all want to do and take our land and you want to inject carbon dioxide, liquefied carbon dioxide with light hydrocarbons. These are known carcinogens over a mile through our water table and next to our water aquifer.
The thing is, most of them support the oil and gas industry.
Republican, I'm a conservative, I'm a landowner, I'm an American most of all.
What their main concern is the right to their land. Like this man from Ragley, Louisiana, who says his neighbor is being threatened by a future project.
And this is what they told him. If you don't take it, then we're going to take it by eminent domain. So you might as well just take our offer. So here's a man with stage 4 cancer that feels like he does not have any other option.
I took an oath to God and the people of this state to support.
When it comes to property rights here in Louisiana, things can get a bit religious.
Thou shalt not steal, or thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house.
That's Speaker Pro Tem Mike Johnson in the House Natural Resource Committee this morning, testifying in support of his Landowner Protection Act, which tells oil and gas companies they cannot take over someone's land for a carbon capture project if they refuse to sell.
Not stealing from someone else is good enough for a 2-year-old. Why don't we live by the same rules that we expect our 2-year-old grandchildren to live by?
Because corporations rule the day. And we're going to be seeing this regardless of what the corporation is or what we've been seeing, the takeover of land. So here's our offer, and you don't have a choice. You do not have a choice. If you don't take the offer, we are just going to take the land anyway. Eminent domain. So South Florida gas stations are reporting shortages. Why do we have shortages here in our country? Doesn't that seem a little odd? We are, the biggest oil exporter and producer, and we can't figure out how to get gas to stations here in this country.
So new at 6, problems at the pump. For the first time since the war with Iran began, we've discovered that some South Florida gas stations are running out of fuel. We found one offering just premium gasoline. CBS News Miami's Peter Dench is your reporter live in West Miami-Dade. And Peter, you spoke to an expert and drivers about the shortage.
That's right, Lauren. We can tell you it's a problem that the manager of this gas station says just started today. He says the supply is limited, and he hopes this issue can be resolved soon.
This is not fair. This is not good for us.
Duperly Panzone says she was startled to find out there was only premium gasoline at this Exxon station on Coral Way at Southwest 87th Avenue.
You're not going to pay for premium.
No, that is very expensive.
Reluctantly, Rachel Ruseko did pay for premium.
I wasn't expecting that. I knew the price was going really high. I didn't know that they were running out of gas.
At Southwest 9th Street and 87th Avenue, the picture was bleaker with no gasoline at all at this Shell station.
Something's up.
I guess I gotta go to another gas station.
It was the same story in Coral Gables at this West Star station at Coral Way and 57th Avenue until this gasoline truck showed up.
No gas at all. We're just waiting on the gas truck to come. Eruption, something going on with the oil. We really don't know what's going on.
Maximo Alvarez, whose Doral company supplies about 600 stations, says there have been recent problems.
The biggest problem is that the demand is up and the transportation is limited. Everybody wants to fill up because they're afraid that the price is going to go higher. So they're starting to have a little fear involved in this type of behavior.
And Alvarez says there have been backups at Port Everglades.
So this is creating big lines, and it's taking a long time just to fill the trucks. Drivers are.
I frankly think that there's something orchestrated, to start with these gas stations having no fuel. Come on, all right, something's up, as far as I'm concerned. And I do want to thank very much Kathleen O. and Chris M. for your donations. Thank you very, very much. I have notes that literally are right smack in front of my eye. And I space. I just don't see it. Thank you, Kathleen, and thank you, Chris. Oh, you don't know how much I thank you. So, this gas stuff is, well, we know that all of it is just coming down. It's orchestrated, and this is what we have to live because we can't get united. Well, so here, Brit rants. Britain is starting to panic again. I can see Britain having a hard time, the UK, but not us. Tell me why. What are your thoughts? Tell me what you think is behind shortages here a month into the war.
I mean, it's just selfish. Look at her.
Someone just turned up to a petrol station in Britain with a Sainsbury's bag. And honestly, can you blame them?
Breaking news, folks, and this is one of the reasons why people like me have been saying, people wake up, unite, 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 because this is going to affect us all.
The UK just announced that because of the war, they will possibly be rationing fuel in the coming days, just like Vietnam and Thailand already started.
Last week, the International Energy Agency advised member countries, including the UK, to consider a series of emergency measures, such as working from home and reducing road speeds.
What am I reading right now? All non-essential lights will be switched off from 8:30 to 9:30 to raise awareness of environmental issues.
Wait a second. That went too fast. Tonight, Parliament, this is UK, will join landmarks across the world taking part in Earth Hour 2026. All non-essential lights will be switched off from 8:30 to 9:30 to raise awareness of environmental issues. So, in the dark, reflect on that carbon footprint of yours. But 3-day weeks, speed limits, and TV curfews. I'm sorry, what is a TV curfew? What is a TV? Tell me, you got to shut off the TV at a certain time? Are you flipping kidding me? What? All right. There was one news report that I think was important, and UK facing one of the biggest hits from energy shocks. Oh, man. And rationing coming within days. All right. This seems a little... UK, how about doing what Spain did? Because Spain's going through the Strait of Hormuz. And France, they allowed France to go through the Strait of Hormuz. All you have to do is say, to the United States, that's it, tell us goodbye, because we're doing nothing but hurting Americans and hurting the world. What are you hanging on for? So, oh man. All right. Lockdown's coming. Yeah, well, let's see.
Afford to go about their daily lives and they'll be less miserable. The government won't do that because they don't want you to be able to afford to go about your daily life, and they don't want you to not be miserable. It's all part of the plan that I've been talking about for the last few years on my YouTube channel.
So many people did not believe me when I said we might go into a lockdown due to the situation in Iran, but now I've got proof. Check this out.
Is bringing state and territory leaders together again to finally find an answer to the fuel crisis. Some drastic measures similar to the days of COVID could be on the table as the government braces for a worst-case scenario.
Questions fly about fuel supply.
The anxiety levels are as high as I've seen, maybe with some even higher than COVID.
The further measures they will consider based on the International Energy Agency's plan, encouraging 3 days work from home, 10 kilometres per hour lower speed limits, encouraging public transport and carpooling, and odd and evens number plate days in cities.
We are on the 1 yard line of this whole situation. This is like February of 2020, right before we went into lockdowns in March when the whole COVID disaster happened. You need to be prepared. I would start stocking up on things before things start running out or going up in price to the point where they are unaffordable. Get ready.
You notice how life has just become one big crisis? All right, the link is in the chat. This is Brit Rants that I've subscribed to, and you might want to as well. Yeah, so Amazon to add 3.5% fuel and logistics surcharge. So everything is going up, everything. And this addition, Amazon, will be happening on April 17. So if you want to get in some orders before April 17 to not have to pay the 3.5% fuel and logistics surcharge, do it now. I mean, when I look, I haven't ordered from Amazon in quite some time, because the last time I was like, are you flipping kidding me? I had to pay, for like a couple of supplements or vitamins. I can't remember what it was. I think melatonin. $15 delivery. Well, it'll take effect on April 17. Fulfillment and logistics, well, they always pass on to the consumer. The temporary, is it temporary? I doubt it's temporary. Surcharges on fulfillment fees to recover a portion of the actual cost increases we are experiencing. And U.S. Postal Service, April 26, everything's going up. Delivery, even those little square things that you put on an envelope. I didn't know about UPS and FedEx. Everything's going up. Everything. Nothing is spared. Nothing. So gets a little scary for people who live on that limited income. But my God, this is why we need to come together. It's why we need to come together. Retirement collapsing. I was talking to a subscriber today who was telling me he had to go to Walmart today, and he sees, and I do too, and it's so heartbreaking to see people working at Walmart when you know that they should be home relaxing in retirement. So, and age discrimination has been going on forever. So, but now it really is going on, and a whole lot of people, well, how do they save now? People can't save anything, especially when they're living paycheck to paycheck.
45 years old, and I'm supposed to be saving for retirement, but yet I can't afford a trip to the grocery store. I can't fill my freezer. We have to just get the basics for each week because groceries are through the roof, gas is through the roof, and we haven't gotten any raises to combat that. How the hell are we supposed to retire? How are you Gen X mamas? How is Gen X generation even making it? Are we going to retire?
What happens when you're over 50, have no retirement saved, and life hits you?
Okay, so even those who had a little bit of savings, if they've lost their job, the inflation, a number of things could have, like this woman having so many surgeries and things like that, your savings gone. They're gone. So now trying to save, forget about it. I will post the link to this. Yeah, things are really crashing now. And I think probably most of you know, but could we be moving into hyperinflation? Could we be seeing that, right? Years ago, a whole lot we're talking about hyperinflation. So as the inflation, it just continues and continues. And now it's going to continue with this crisis that has been manufactured by Trump and Netanyahu. Thank you so much, you guys. You really help out the world. Okay. And with, you know, the liabilities, the obligations that the U.S. government has to pay back debt and the revenue that comes in, oh, there's a great mismatch. So some have been talking about QE is going to return, right? The printing of money, putting it into the market, which only causes more inflation, but some people think it's going to trigger hyperinflation. So I'm just saying, not to scare, but I don't think anybody can prepare for hyperinflation. It's just, if it turns out that way, it turns out that way. But if we had strong, solid communities of trustworthy people, well, but we don't. So, and what was that? That was the article that I just clicked off. That was Oracle let go of 30,000 employees. I'm not entirely sure. The only number that I could get of the Americans being laid off was in Washington, and close to 600 employees were laid off. Okay. But Oracle has been filing for the H-1B visas, thousands of them. Wait, so you're laying off Americans and hiring foreigners? That's not very nice. May God have mercy. Robert Kiyosaki, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but warns of hyperinflation. Yeah, and this, what Trump has been doing, obviously with no oversight, obviously with, we are living a dictatorship, okay? Congress is doing squat, enriching their own wealth. Shut down, no problem. We still get paid. Who cares? Oh, Easter, we're going on vacation, living a fabulous life as more and more Americans literally fall off the financial cliff. Well, what Trump is doing now, there's so much that Trump has done that Congress should be doing, but why not? Right? Red team, I thought you cared about the Constitution. I thought you cared about, the federal government and how it operated. I guess you don't. Trump is silencing government warning signals of an economic crash. So I will link below. This article is very good. And I mentioned it briefly yesterday, but you got to know the devil is in the details. All right. So his administration disseminating or decimating two vital federal bodies. Okay. If the U.S. economy is headed off a cliff, better that we receive no warning in advance. That may not be the stated goal, but it's the result of what Trump and Russ Vogt is doing. Remember, Project 2025, Mr. Vogt is one of the primary authors. He gets appointed by Trump, and it's like Russ is a wrecking ball. All right, so Russell Project 2025 Vogt's determined efforts as director of the White House Budget Office to shut down two agencies created by the 2010 Dodd-Frank Financial Reform and Consumer Protection Act, which was truly, I remember posting on it. It was what, and everybody was yelling about, just bring back the Glass-Steagall separation of commercial and investment banks, but they never did that. Okay, so we know they had no interest in protecting us at all. The Dodd-Frank, Congress's attempt to head off another catastrophe, and the Dodd-Frank bill would never do that. In Dodd-Frank, what did they do? You know what? We're not going to do the bailouts anymore because we have to go in front of the American people and just, well, we have to at least present some argument as to why we need a bailout. So Dodd-Frank, in one of the provisions, was bail-ins. Oh, that's much better for the bankers. Bail-in, it means whatever you got in the bank, whoop, we want it. And we take it. So, and the bankers hated Dodd-Frank. Now these same bankers want Trump to gut two significant parts of the Dodd-Frank, which is really, well, first is the Office of Financial Research. Small office. It's never employed many more than 200 people, dedicated to furnishing policymakers with the kind of detailed information they lacked during the late audits about mostly unregulated shadow banks, such as mortgage companies, private equity, private credit, hedge funds, and the repurchase agreement market repos. And one person said, who the Washington Monthly last month said, the most important agency you've never heard of, which is Office of Financial Research. Every year, that office sends an annual report to Congress that's written in a typically cheerful tone that downplays financial risks. Still, the necessary information is there if you look for it. And hedge funds, their dependence on the repo market increased by 154%. And that growth in private repos is off the charts. So the repo ballooned in recent years to $12 trillion and more than 1/3 of the size of the entire U.S. gross domestic product. All right, I want to jump ahead. Ted Cruz, of course, who between 2019 and 2024 collected nearly $2 million in campaign contributions from the securities and investment sector, introduced during that same time period 3 successive bills to abolish Office of Financial Research. That's the only office that will alert Congress to vulnerabilities. Get rid of it. Oh my God, we are. All right. Last year's One Big Beautiful Reconciliation Bill initially zeroed out the office's budget, but the Senate parliamentarian ruled against that. So Vogt took matters into his own hands. These people never, ever, ever stop at no. They just keep pushing their own agendas. Having already halved the office staff from 196 employees to 100, Treasury officials informed staff last month that 64% of the remainder will be laid off. And it was proposed in Trump's 2026 budget. So why wait for Congress? Yeah, Trump and Trump's administration. Why? We can just do it on our own. And they do. Risks emerge in the financial system and cracks in the credit market spread. Trump administration is gutting the office designed to evaluate financial risks in the giveaway to Wall Street. So they're gutting those departments that would send out an alert. They don't want you to know. That's not good. So the other Dodd-Frank agency, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, gutting that, which, you know, obviously it's in the title of the name. They protect consumers from fraud, and now it's just been called the zombie regulator. It's now mostly empty, despite repeated court interventions barring Vogt from conducting mass firings. Last year, Vogt tried to fire 90% of the staff in that office, but he was blocked by a judge. Now Vogt, who since firing the director of consumer protection, proposes to cut what's left of the staff in half. Do you see what's happening? Okay, this is not good. So, and there's an awful lot. Maybe I get carried away with the details because I have interests that I guess not a lot of people do, but we're screwed. Okay, we're so screwed. And a whole lot won't be able to discern what's going to be coming Friday or Monday. I sure hope that all of you are in a okay situation, but Trump announces what he calls the largest tax relief plan rolling out next month. And he claims that American families could see an extra $11,000 to $20,000 stay in their annual income. Really? Promises, promises. Okay. You want to believe that? You want to believe this?
Next year, you will also see the results of the largest tax cuts in American history that were really accomplished through our great, big, beautiful bill. Perhaps.
Okay, wait a second. This is Christmas decorations. And next month. Okay. Anybody see it? Or how about this? Trump says he's considering 2,000. All right. Musk, 5,000 for all Americans. Trump has said, I think twice before, he's considering $2,000 for Americans because it's the tariff dividend. You know, he's been saying, my God, I brought in so much money to this country. Americans don't see squat. And he says, we can make the payment without Congress again. $2,000.
with Kevin Hassan on that, or do you think you can do that unilaterally?
No, I don't think we would have to go the Congress route, but we'll find out. The reason we're even talking about it is that we have so much money coming in from tariffs that we'll be able to issue at least a $2,000 dividend and also pay down debt for the country. But we'd do a $2,000 dividend to the people of our country. Would probably set a limit of, income limit where it made sense. But
Why? Just send out $2,000. Why? Why, income limit? Okay. Do you think anybody is going to get any money? And do you think whatever money has been brought in from these tariffs, do you think it's really going to go to pay down the debt? This is just another way for Trump and his friends to stick a lot of money in their pockets. We have no idea what the hell is going on. Congress, well, they're on vacation, so who cares, But really, everything this guy says. But they say they throw this out every now and then. Why? To appease. Oh, all right. Well, I guess because I'm going to get $2,000, I'll shut up. Americans are reaching a breaking point. And I have to say, she really shows how unbelievably evil is our country. You don't do this to people, and we know that what they're doing is deliberate.
Why is gas $5 a gallon? And why do I have to pay rent? And why is rent so high? And why do I have to drive my car and get the gas that I have to get to go to the job that I have to pay for rent? Why do I have to do all of that stuff? And why are you making it so fucking expensive to do it? I don't even want to get out and pump my gas. It feels like getting out and just knowing someone's gonna fucking stab you. Why would you get out? This is beginning. This is the beginning of life. What am I supposed to do forever? I have to get a fucking horse. Why?
The young in particular. This is why we need community. This is why we need people to hold other people up, and you sit down, you talk about things that you can do for one another in your own community. But it is truly, the evil in this country is just, it's beyond anything that I could ever have imagined. But it's across the board. It's just across the board. It's not just government officials, This is what we left for the young. And, all right, San Francisco has this tiny home community where people have been for 4 years and they're kicking them out. Back to the streets. Back to the streets. Okay. Something so, this, I don't know.
Homeless advocates are accusing Oakland of breaking promises made to some of their most vulnerable neighbors. Now, earlier this week, the city officially shut down a tiny home shelter in West Oakland. The cabins sit right off the corner of Peralta and 3rd Streets. Right.
I don't know if you can hear. I'm going to boost, but I'm going to lower it a little.
Right between 880 and the main post office. And it's not far from areas that used to be home to some of Oakland's largest encampments. And advocates told our Kenny Choi the city is sending the residents right back onto the street.
Now that the city has closed this tiny home site, homeless advocates are saying that the city has put these residents in a worse situation than before.
Some residents of the city-sanctioned tiny homes on Peralta Shelter in West Oakland remained on site after the city officially closed it on Tuesday. The shelter opened about 4 years ago on a vacant lot the city rented from Caltrans. It was designed to house about 40 people. It's one of 2 shelters the city of Oakland closed this week because of a 41% funding cut to its community housing services division. Homeless advocates tried to help residents this week, offering food and assistance. The security guard turned them away, demanding they leave.
Everybody who didn't get matched in another permanent supportive housing somewhere is going to have to leave and go back out into the streets. There's no other place for them to go. This is Angel Hyde and Mama Rosalia. They live here.
Ifalayo Harper spent years on the streets and is now a homeless advocate. 3 years ago, Harper found permanent housing through Poor Magazine's housing project in East Oakland called Homefulness. She believes the city is wasting money on broken models that aren't working.
All these promises that, rapid rehousing, if you go into this city sanctioned lot, or you'll get services, or you'll get programming, and none of that ever happens.
Tina Gray Garcia leads Poor Magazine and is a homeless advocate after spending time on the streets.
City isn't doing anything. They're sweeping people like we're trash, right and left, hither and toe. And then when they start these so-called solutions, right, they close them.
She says many of the residents at Peralta and 3rd have nowhere to go.
Oh, how unbelievably fabulous is our country. Well, we got a cut, yeah. Don't have the funding, get out. Really. They can't think of anything else to do but kick them out. They won't even let people in to assist them. Really? No, pure evil. And a 93-year-old tenant has all of the fees in a whole lot of these apartment complexes all over the country. You're paying for whatever they decide, right? Well, this 93, she gave up driving, sold her car when she was 90, and still was charged a monthly fee for her parking that she didn't need.
I'm 13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears. I'm standing here in an empty parking spot at the 2312 apartment complex. The woman who pays for this spot doesn't have a car, hasn't had one for years, and will never drive again in her life, but she still has to pay for it. She reached out to ask Darcy, what's the deal? That's how our story began in early March when I first introduced you to Norma Elliott and her daughter Janice. Norma, when was the last time you drove?
2 years ago, I sold my car when I turned 90.
When corporate landlord Graystar took over Norma's complex, they started charging tenants all kinds of extra fees for things that were previously part of their rent, including $25 a month for parking.
When Mom found out about it, she was like, what is going on? Because it's like they nickel and dime you to death.
Some of this is just, I think, predatory.
We took Norma's lease and list of extra fees, which added up to more than $100 a month on top of rent, to Assemblymember Venetia Considine. She wrote a law which passed in the 2025 legislative session aimed at ending hidden fees by requiring landlords to roll them into the rent price.
Common area electricity, according to the law, is supposed to be included in the rent, not a separate charge. Same with common area maintenance. I don't know what real estate is.
Neither do we, and though we asked Graystar repeatedly to explain that $10.50 a month charge on Norma's tab, they never provided an answer.
And then your sewer, trash, and water are all also supposed to be inclusive.
Our story shed light on what Considine calls an issue that isn't going away despite the new law.
I think there's always going to be what we call whack-a-mole. As soon as you find a law saying, no, we're going to level the playing field for consumers so they know what they're getting and they're not giving up any of their rights, they find another way or another door.
She says,
and that's the American way. Aye. Why do people screw other people? Why? They always find another way to make just a little bit more money. Yay. Well, here. Residents refuse to pay decal HOA, an HOA, $5.1 million water bill that the HOA didn't pay and doesn't do any services for these people. I'll post the link. It's really remarkable. 5.1 million, and the water wasn't shut off. That's a little strange. The link is in the chat. San Francisco property owner fined $50,000 for illegally pruning trees that he thought was his, and his insurance company told him that he's got to prune the trees. So he pruned trees that he thought was his, but it turned out they were the city's, and now the city wants $50,000 for illegally pruning the trees. Illegally? Okay. Oh, great. We can get this guy. We can get $50,000. Yay! And who feels this way? I think a lot of people feel this way. And when you see what is happening in our country, I think more and more people are going to express how they feel. And it's unfortunate because all of this anger should really be towards the real enemies, but it doesn't seem to. Well, we Americans are lost.
Hey, MAGA, I fucking hate you! I fucking hate you! I hate every last one of you! You stupid fuckers! You voted for a fucking pedophile, and I don't even say that lightly. Donald Trump fucks kids! Donald Trump fucks kids! And our Congress members fucking know it! How many Republicans voted to release the Epstein files? Two Republicans voted.
Okay. But this is what happens when you're caught in the matrix. You don't understand that there's one party. They're both destroying us. They have their ways. And get out of the matrix. That's going to save your brain. It might help you keep your sanity. But this is the kind of anger that people have. And wow, Wall Street Journal, boy, nursing is the surefire new path to American prosperity. Okay, really? Okay. Plentiful jobs out there and a potential six-figure incomes. Do you know how many nurses I have listened to who have lost their jobs and they're getting paid squat? Okay. Any nurses that we have here? Please comment, because there are so many medical centers, so many nursing homes, so many, like community health centers that are closing down. And these nurses, well, I've included it in lives. They can't find work. But hey, surefire. And this is very cute. So I'm just going to play a few minutes of it. Geo Beats Animals, which the link is in the chat. If you haven't subscribed to them, I highly recommend, just for a moment of, oh God, life is brutal. But then you get to see.
He kind of acts like the principal, just walking around like he owns the school. He likes being the main attraction in the classroom. He will climb up on top of some of the shelves and oversee the classroom. My students say he's the king of the classroom, or he's kind of like the teacher. My name is Kaylee Smith, and this is Pinecone's story for GeoBeats. As soon as I got him, I just quickly realized that he wasn't like a normal cat. He wasn't just going to be a part of my life, that he was meant to be a part of a lot of people's lives. I am an art teacher at a middle school, and my principal let me take him to school one day as kind of a reward for the students. And he was only here for one period, but as soon as he came, I just noticed his presence in the classroom. The kids responded to him so well. And so I decided to get permission to have him in the school more often. He really helps to create a calm atmosphere in my classroom in a way that I don't think I could just do. He will greet students at the door sometimes, which is surprising to people. He really likes the area near my desk. Like there's a little legend shelf. He'll lay on there a lot, but he's pretty much claimed the whole art room for himself.
God, he's beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so the link is in the chat. You can watch more. Oh, I wish my cats were like this, where anybody can go up to the cat and they don't run away. Now, I am going to just give links. Kim Iverson, our interview with Professor Chang, very interesting and lots of information that, well, we all need for sure. This war will not end quickly. It's going to continue. It's going to continue. All right. And where is it? And this, okay. This disaster is about to hit you, top economist explains. Isabella Weber. And really, a lot of very important information about what is coming, what we are now living. And when you listen to her and you want to judge her for her and, you know, her manner of speech, before you do that, think about how are you just fabulously articulate, smooth? She is articulate, but that's what I was thinking, because I've received so many comments from subscribers judging other people. Oh, I can't listen to this. You know, it's the way she talks. She just has a manner of speech that I think, I did think, okay, she's going to get judged. All right, so you know what? I don't know where to go. I just don't know where to go anymore. What do? Okay. Good Friday today. Catholics, right? So on Good Friday, Archbishop Timothy Broglio, head of the Archdiocese for the U.S. military services, declared the Iran war unjust. Uh-oh. How dare you? You're in the military and you did that? Well, you might get fired, but what's the Pentagon doing here? Trump and Vance White House escalates Holy Week assault against Catholic Church. So the Pope has come out and had some words for Trump, had some words about the Iran war. Okay. Unbelievably, the Pentagon had a prayer service excluding Catholics. Excluding Catholics. Really, on Good Friday. You see? I mean, it's quite obvious if you can't see that this might piss off some people. Hell, it pissed off me. All right, I am Catholic. Well, what does that mean? I don't even know what it means. There was nothing in my family, nothing. But because my mother was Catholic, my father, all right, so you're born Catholic, I guess. But it meant nothing. So the Pentagon sent an email to more than 3,500 employees. Just a friendly reminder. There will be a Protestant service, no Catholic Mass, for Good Friday today at the Pentagon Chapel. The Protestant service is the only service scheduled in the Pentagon chapel today. Now, Good Friday, is there a mass? I don't know, but it's just a slap in the face to Catholics. Hegseth's Pentagon offered nothing for them. The Department of Defense hosted a Protestant Good Friday service, but Good Friday, Protestants aren't about Good Friday, or are you? I don't know. At the nation's military headquarters, and confirmed that Catholic worship was excluded entirely. In the span of 24 hours, two arms of the Trump administration told the Catholic Church that its worship is either a security threat or simply unwelcome. There you go. Trump puts up a portrait of Christ. Christ is king. That's anti-Semitic, by the way, if you say Christ is king. It's so tiring. But for Good Friday,
and it's very cool.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that great? Just went up yesterday.
Wow.
And it's very cool.
Oh my gosh.
okay. So much for the separation of church and state. It's all orchestrated, and it's so a violation of the Constitution, but who cares, right? In Israel, so despite earlier talk of facilitation measures for Christian holidays in Jerusalem's Old City, Israeli authorities have completely sealed off the Old City and the Church of Holy Sepulchre, I don't know, preventing Christians from entering to observe Good Friday prayers during Easter, and canceled the traditional Via Dolorosa procession. Catholics, you're taking a big hit, as well as Christians. And now this is very low. I hope you can hear him. Somebody took this video. President Trump said, on May 17, I'm inviting every American to the National Mall for a day of prayer. America is a Christian nation. I don't think he said that. Mindset of the church. I think they just wrote that. No, it's not. Sorry, it is not. Okay? No, it is not. For a day of prayer. See, I'll post the link, and if you put your ears close to your speakers, maybe you can hear. But yeah, the call to come to the National Mall for a day of prayer. Yeah. Okay. What are you praying for? Again? I don't know. Okay. This one? Okay. Pack your bags for the National Mall, everyone. God's chosen politician is calling for a 49-day prayer bender. A bender. Okay. Oh, man. Come on. This is really, it's pathetic. It really is. I guess she believes in that assassination attempt, and because they didn't kill him, That means God brought him to the White House.
He's calling for a national prayer going for 49 days and into July 4th. We would all be very wise to prepare for what may be coming. Because why would Trump call the nation to come to the National Mall and ask us all to be praying? Does he know something is coming? I think he may. He knows that we have a day of reckoning coming. And I believe he wants the nation to prepare spiritually.
You think? Or maybe, could you consider that maybe he's bringing that day of reckoning? Oh my God, how do people get so manipulated by unbelievably sick, warped, psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic people? Come on.
This is a rededication of America to God's purposes, so he's asking everyone to show up. We may be about to go through something unbelievable. Remember when he said he believed he was here by an act of God because he survived the assassination attempt? And so he's on a divine mission from God to do what he's been called to do.
Please, nothing is happening behind those eyes. Yeah, the rapture can't come soon enough. Okay. Right, so when is Jesus' ETA so we can get this nonsense over with? Oh, God. And we have the abject audacity to claim that their regime is filled with radical religious extremists. Ah, yes, he survived the assassination attempt. The whole thing was so obvious that it was a fake assassination attempt. Oh my God. Well, whatever. I don't know. Here, White House deletes bonkers Trump Easter event where he got compared to Jesus. They did. I think they were receiving way too many comments when this evil thing likened Trump to Jesus. And yeah, they then put the video to private. To private. Paula White. Just that Paula White is there. She's a spiritual advisor to Trump. You would think that all Christians, Catholic, Protestant, doesn't matter, everybody would know something's very wrong here. But no, a whole lot. Love it. How about in the UK with the fabulous royal king?
Well, greetings, Your Majesty. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool monarchist, as was my father, and my father before him. We've held your mother's commission and your grandfather's commission in military service, and we listened patiently to your support for Islam through Ramadan. But I remind you, you are head of the Church of England, and that is a very critical role for you, which you don't seem to understand. I'm not sure whether you're fully mentally well or not. If you're not, I wish you well. But it seems to me you have no real deep Christian faith, and neither does your son. Presumably you had a hand of bringing him up. This is a very important constitutional role as a Christian. And it now seems you're not going to give an Easter message, which I think confirms what many of your subjects have believed for some time, that you have somehow embraced the Islam faith. And that's not a problem as far as I'm concerned. I'm a libertarian. You must embrace whatever faith you think appropriate, but not as king. Not as king. You must abdicate, and I would suggest similarly that your son must not take the throne, because it seems to me you do not understand what your role seriously is. You're one of the richest men in the world, and you have a reputation, I could possibly comment on it, of being one of the meanest. What I would suggest to you is that you abdicate and get gone. Get thee gone. You are of no use to this country whatsoever. You have failed in every conceivable way in your relatively short period of time on the throne. In the name of God, go.
In the name of God, go. Yeah. It seems that they're just not doing what they used to do. Here, Bishop Robert Barron left his home diocese during Holy Week to attend a White House prayer vigil. He was there with Paula White, and he was just, well,
everybody, it's Bishop Barron. As you can see, I'm here in the nation's capital.
it's so low. Let's see. Now it's all the way up. Well, you can listen. He was just so excited to be there celebrating with Paula White and Trump. A great joy, a great privilege. Praised Trump for bringing religious leaders together to celebrate the Holy Week. And now you get slapped in the face because the Pentagon has said, Good Friday? Forget about you Catholics. We're going to have a Protestant prayer service and you ain't invited. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Members of the cabinet have started Bible studies. Here. Oh, Turning Point USA.
Members of the cabinet have started Bible studies. One of the most beautiful moments I've witnessed in this job was prior to the cameras coming into a cabinet meeting in the cabinet room. The president always sort of has private conversation with the cabinet and checks in and asks them, how's everyone doing? Is there anything you need from me? And it's sort of that private moment before the cameras roll in. You guys have seen these advertised 3-hour-long cabinet meetings that we hold about once or twice a month. But they do have that private talk. And there was a day in which Secretary Turner prompted a prayer over the president and over the rest of the cabinet. And I had the honor of just standing in the corner of the room for when the president wanted the media to come in and witness that moment with the president of the United States, the vice president of the United States, and the entire cabinet with their heads bowed in that beautiful cabinet room, praying together.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is like a 3-minute video, and I can't listen to this. I have said before, and I'll say it again. No, I'm not Christian, and I don't have the beliefs that an awful lot of people in our country do. Okay, but I don't like seeing all these people who claim to believe in Jesus betraying Jesus. I think Jesus, well, like Trump said, is pretty cool. No other two-legged has been presented to the whole human race as a way of good living, whether myth or real. I don't care. The teachings, stop reading the Bible, get out there and start, actually living the teachings of Jesus. Manifest those teachings, helping the least, all of that kind of stuff. The most evil people have prayer services and Bible studies, and come on. Sorry. And you want to know a Christian nationalism? All right, so here's another one. Dusty Devers, Oklahoma State Senator. Here we go. None of these people are patriots. None of these people care about the Constitution. They just want to get rid of it.
The chief end of every government is to glorify God and to protect its people's God-given right to glorify and enjoy Him forever. I'll say it again. The chief end of every government is to glorify God and to protect its people's God-given right to glorify and enjoy Him forever. My aim is twofold. Number one, to confront you with the absolute lordship of Jesus Christ. To awaken holy fear of treason against Christ. And equip legislators to govern as his servants so that your laws and priorities and public witness protect the citizens' right to know and enjoy God forever. Second, to call upon the Church of Jesus Christ to declare to and warn their legislators of the sovereign authority of Christ to order his world by his word. Government and her magistrates are never neutral. They always orient citizens toward a God. So will you direct them to the living Christ or to idols? And then face the living judge for your attempted insurrection against his throne? Legislators, hear this warning. God will not be mocked. You are not sovereign. You will give an account before King Jesus. If you belittle Christ in the halls of power and blaspheme him by not ascribing to him glory and authority over the governments that rest upon his shoulders, the scepter you grasp will become the rod that breaks you. Kiss the Son or face the beating. You must choose your allegiance. The chief...
All right, so you're a senator and you work in the government in Oklahoma, and this is what you're doing? Really? Wow. Wow. All right. We have a lot of these people, and Trump has opened the door for the Christian nationalists to come right on out and speak, unbelievably in their positions where there's supposed to be that separation of church and state, and claim that it's the Christian God that he is talking about. Yeah. And my God, you will be beat if you don't kiss the Son. And not that Son, but, Oh, okay. These are scary people. They are. And then what, Jesus? And then a whole bunch of assholes known as evangelicals decided that being a Christian meant condoning the exact opposite of everything I stand for. Absolutely. Trump, his administration, these people, they're at the antithesis of what Jesus stood for. The Christians in our country need to shut these people up. Woof, man. And, okay. Kenneth Copeland defends tithing. Of course he does. Of course he does. To a young man. So, listen up.
Gloria and I tithe personally. The church tithe. This ministry has saved over $53 million. Tithing is absolutely essential for the prosperous life. Oh, that's old covenant. Oh, come on. Hebrews is in the new, right? I want you to see this. Without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. Here, men that die receive tithes, but there he receives them, of whom it is witnessed that he's alive. So we take our tithe.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it's hard for me personally to wrap my mind around that prosperity message, is because it has a lot to do with the finances, because that can be attractive, having the benefits of blessing. I mean, and I don't want someone to perceive it as, oh, I believe in this Jesus just to get the benefits of the kingdom. I want Jesus. Jesus is the prize.
Okay. So, when I learned in my own reading of the Bible, you're to hand over, this is my paraphrase, obviously, hand over money to Caesar, the taxes or whatever. And I thought, oh, wow. God wrote that? Really? Come on. Well, Copeland, right? Of course he's going to defend tithing. And can I not get to it now? Oh, it was all about how many jets he has and a hangar, and he lives in a palatial mansion, and he's got mega millions. Why not? Let me see if I put it out. Come on. All right, let me maybe. Oh, here it is. Good. Yeah. And so many people still go to this guy's church. Something's wrong. So Copeland, considered the wealthiest pastor in the United States with an estimated worth of $300 to $760 million. Fort Worth, Texas, his wealth is driven by his ministry in books and media and the prosperity gospel, which emphasizes financial blessings through donations. Oh, so you donate to Copeland, Kenneth, in the hopes that you will then be prosperous? Who could believe this? He resides in a $7 million tax exempt parsonage, allowing his ministry to avoid $150,000 in annual property taxes. Oh boy, are we stupid. So his 1,500 acre Eagle Mountain International Church, it's got a private airport and a hangar for his multiple private jets. He's got a Gulfstream 5 and a Cessna Citation X. Come on. What the hell? Oh man, these people, I don't get it. I just don't get it. They can't see that he is just full of shit and loves. Yeah, you give me the donations and you will have financial blessings. I wonder how many people have received those financial blessings. And here, I mean, so many people are just caught up in,
Can women preach? Why are scriptures weaponized against women?
For so many years, that was so simple and clear to me until I started to really slowly study the text and say, nothing about this is that clear.
As a woman who wants to honor God with every portion of my life, you don't want to go against scripture. If you've ever had a reformed person come after you and tell you that a woman preaching is the highest form of evil, you don't take it lightly.
That passage in Timothy is very complicated.
Yes.
If somebody simply reads an English translation and says, therefore you are disobeying, blah, 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 run the other way.
What is at risk if we don't get this right?
Woof. Hell, I guess. Hell. The Lisa Guevara podcast. Okay, how about Christians really just give it all up and just really try your best to emulate Christ? The world would be so much better for it. So, wow. Just crazy. It's crazy. So I'm going to just go through. I should never look at Twitter just a few minutes before going live, because I'm like, oh my God. Oh, really? Okay. So much is going on, and you can really see it on Twitter with this war. It's another war for you on social media. U.S. demands 48-hour ceasefire and Iran rejects it. Response not in writing, countered with heavy attacks. U.S. rushes to push truce after troops bombed in Kuwait, and they were. Yeah. Are we hearing about all of the troops who are dead? How about troops captured? Here. And this was Trump, talking many decades ago.
But as far as Trump is concerned, our allies are only part of the problem. The real culprit is Iran.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do you mean we
in,
take their oil?
You go in. You're
How
gonna have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it, and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
But as far as Trump is concerned,
This guy just wants to steal oil wherever he can. He gets an awful lot of money from the oil companies. He's been wanting, we're going to have the next time Iran attacks us, which they never have done. Okay, never. But hey, the warped mentality, and why the Pentagon is certainly firing a lot of generals. What's going on? A purge at the Pentagon.
And we're back. So we have two ousters today, this time from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. He has asked Army Chief of Staff General Randy George to leave his post. George is the Army's most senior general. A defense official says Hegseth asked General George to retire immediately. Now, the ouster comes as the U.S., of course, is battling Iran. Joining me now is Hal Kempfert, a familiar face around here, and on Live Now, a national security analyst, also a retired U.S. Marine. Thank you, and thank you for your service. Let's just get your reaction to this. Is this really a big deal?
Well, Marla, it's a deal. I mean, normally when you become a service chief or chairman of the Joint Chiefs or the vice chair, normally those are 4-year terms. That is not set in stone. That can change, and certainly we've seen a lot of changes. With Pete Hegseth as Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense, he's removed about a dozen flag and general officers. Of course, you may recall he removed C.Q. Brown, Air Force General, who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs when he came in. He also, Lisa Franchetti, who was the CNO, Admiral, head of the Navy, Chief of Naval Operations. And then, of course, General Cruz, Lieutenant General Cruz, head of DIA, and others have been removed as well. So they're not afraid of removing flag and general officers, but this is still a big deal.
Well, it's a big deal when you're doing this in the middle of a excursion, a war, and of course everybody is saying that the generals, and apparently there were like 30 of them, were, I guess it's an insurrection, when they don't want to follow the orders, get rid of them. Things are heating up, right? Another U.S. jet goes down in the Persian Gulf, another one. Now, this is an A-10 and an F-15 hit at the same time. Pilot rescued. Okay. We also had the capture of a pilot, but I guess we'll get to that. I think I'm going to need an extra 15 minutes. But U.S. and Israel just bombed a woman's dormitory at a university in Iran. Well, it seems as if that is a war crime. And they had dropped bombs on a livestock farm. Animals now buried under rubble. How fabulous. Oh, God, this country, man, it's sick. China says it will join genocide case. South Africa joined South Africa against Israel in the International Criminal Court. Okay, but why now? You know, what? You were just waiting and waiting and waiting, allowing all of those Palestinians to die. And another strategic masterclass by Iran. Iran has allowed free passage to French ships at the Strait of Hormuz. $12 Israeli interceptor missiles for one Iranian missile, and it missed all of the 12. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh my God.
What is being decimated is Israel. Iran's ballistic missiles destroy U.S. military offices and an F-15 fighter jet at the Sultan Air Base in Riyadh, causing extensive, well, you can see that it's pretty extensive. So if it's true that Trump asked for a 48-hour ceasefire, there's a reason. And the reason is it's not because we're winning. And when you're calling for a ceasefire, does that negate what he has claimed that that Iran doesn't even have a military anymore? And these are hits to Israel, causing a lot of flooding. Okay, so I'm going to try and go through this quickly. So the Iranian foreign minister, warns Trump's Stone Age threat. It could backfire. So yeah, think about it. Iran, the third largest producer of oil in the world. And you want to bomb them into Stone Age. Don't you think the ripple effects will go to everybody's door in the world? Of course, there's one striking difference between the present day and the Stone Age. There was no oil or gas being pumped in the Middle East back then. And he went on to say, are the President of the United States and Americans who put him in office sure they want to turn back the clock? Stupid. He's a little boy in the White House. U.S. effort to recover downed fighter pilot fails. Well, apparently we tried to recover the pilot, and guess who did? Iran. Russian embassy outraged after U.S. Israeli strikes damage Orthodox church in Tehran. Well, yeah, you're going to be pissed, of course. save every drop of fuel. South Korea tells citizens to conserve, ride public transit amid energy shocks. Everybody should be so pissed off at our country. I earnestly appeal to all citizens to actively participate in energy-saving movements in daily lives, such as taking public transportation and conserving electricity. The current crisis is not a passing shower that quickly subsides, but rather a massive storm whose duration is uncertain, making it all the more severe. South Korea. I thought South Korea was allowed to take the ships from out of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran attacks Kuwaiti desalination plant. When you see things like this, wait for it. Israel, Iran, US, they're doing the false flags. So the desalination plant, already Iran has come out and denied that they hit a desalination plant in Kuwait. Is this another one? And Iran's tallest bridge destroyed. Oh, God. There it goes. Well, what then will Iran do? Iran retaliates in kind. Where is it? Iran just released a target list of 8 bridges across 4 countries. Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, Jordan's primary West Bank crossing, another one in Jordan, Amman's central traffic artery, well, these bridges took years to build and cost billions. But again, I just want you to hear this. It's half a minute.
Imagine an Iran that instead of spending their wealth, billions of dollars supporting terrorists or weapons, had spent that money helping the people of Iran. You'd have a much different country.
We have to take care of one thing, military protection. The United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare.
These are programs that have existed forever. And we are watching this one guy gut them all. Daycare, Medicare, Medicaid, other social programs, housing, okay?
It's not possible for us to take care of daycare, Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things.
Imagine an Iran that instead of spending their wealth, billions of dollars supporting terrorists or weapons, had spent that money helping the people of Iran.
You actually have the audacity to say that? Imagine. Trump asked Congress to supersize the military budget and slash domestic programs. And here's Russ vote, right? That we're just sitting back doing nothing is really, wow. It's just a wow, okay? Everything that they say is an admission for what they're doing. Trump firing top U.S. Army officials. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, Army Chief of Staff Randy George, Army General David Hode, I don't know, Army General William Green Jr. Okay, because I have no doubt they're not loyal to the president. That's why. That's why. And yeah, okay, attacks on Iran's civilian infrastructure reflects U.S. moral collapse. Well, there's a lot. Pretty much everything that happens in this country, it's reflecting moral collapse. He's absolutely right. What does this do but reflect moral collapse? And if you want to, Iraqi reacted to the April 2nd U.S. airstrike targeting a major bridge, arguing that while Iran will rebuild stronger, the damage to America's global standing will be irreversible. Well, that's clear. Striking civilian structures, including unfinished bridges, will not compel Iranians to surrender. In fact, it's compelling those Iranians to be even more united. It only conveys the defeat and moral collapse of an enemy in disarray. Every bridge and building will be built back better, built back stronger. What will never recover is America's standing in the world. And we know that. We know it. And what kind of army abandons its bases for hotels and malls? So our soldiers are running from their bases to work from hotels and malls. Isn't that the kind of human shielding, that we have pointed the finger at Iran? U.S. was humiliated today. Military has no spirit at all. An army that flees its own bases to take refuge in a shopping center or shopping mall. Yeah, we're what kind of army is that? Can this be called the world's powerful army? An army that abandons its main positions and seek refuge in civilian centers? French senator, he says the golfer from Mar-a-Lago.
After assembling the most powerful army in the world, failing to win a war against a middle power, causing oil and gas prices to skyrocket, and delivering incoherent speeches, the golfer from Mar-a-Lago shamelessly admits to being stunned by the Iranian response, which was entirely predictable, and now calls for help from his allies whom he was insulting just yesterday. And they reply to him, "You didn't consult anyone, you have no plan, and we have no reason to follow you blindly into the fog." Trump, the only elephant in the world who walks around with his own China shop, now has no choice but between two equally bad options: to withdraw shamefully, pretending, without convincing anyone, that he has achieved his objectives, or to trigger an escalation with results that have been known in advance since Vietnam, Iraq, or Afghanistan. A quagmire, and in the end, a disgraceful departure, leaving the field open at the time to the communists, to Daesh, or to the Taliban.
Iran's army conducts drone strikes on U.S. sites in Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain. And so Iranian military also announced Wave 91 of Operation True Promise 4, targeting U.S. steel facilities in Abu Dhabi, Dhabi, sorry, U.S. aluminum industries in Bahrain, Rafael weapons industry in Israel, U.S. military hideout near Manama, dozens killed and wounded. Also, Ben Gurion air bases, military concentrations in Tel Aviv, Haifa, Eilat, Negev, and Beersheba. I'm horrible with pronunciations. U.S. bases in 3 different areas. Early warning radar at UAE's Safar base, completely destroyed. U.S. fighter jet positions at a base in Jordan, and 4 hostile drones downed over Iran. And America and the Zionist regime should expect far heavier and more devastating strikes. So I just want to go over some of these strikes, which are really quite wow. It's a wow. But the UAE, Kuwait, and Qatar, together with China, have begun negotiations with Iran, with China taking the lead. And I don't know how to verify this, but I could see it happening because the Gulf states are not being protected by the great military in the U.S. of A. So, yeah, I would imagine that they would want to walk away. But man, okay, Israel. Okay. Central.
Yo, le suis là.
Okay. Sure looks like a lot of those missiles are getting through. Yeah, well, this page doesn't exist. I guess Elon Musk is doing his best to just get rid of a lot that shows what's happening in Israel. Iran has launched over 1,200 cruise missiles at various Israeli cities. Oh, excuse me.
Responders are currently digging through the debris of the building behind me. They just pulled 2 civilians out. There were a number of injuries at this location, but the ongoing ballistic missile fire is making it incredibly difficult for these first responders to look for survivors because every time the siren goes off, they have to rush into a nearby shelter and get underground. But you see here the massive amount of destruction to this building, a residential block. And they are bringing dogs in. There are still firefighters on the scene putting out the blaze inside the building. And they're using megaphones to call out to see if there are any survivors still trapped under the debris.
Well, yeah. Barrage of rockets now hitting Tel Aviv. So, horrific. Iranian ballistic missile striking the central Israeli city of Petah Tikva as families meant to be celebrating Passover, one of the holiest periods of the Jewish year. World response, deafening silence. Are you really surprised? How could anybody be surprised? Considering what you've been doing for not just the 2.5 years, but since you decided Israel is your homeland, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? You shut down Old Jerusalem and, that church where the Christians go. You also shut down the Al-Aqsa Mosque for the Palestinians who, during their holiday, you wouldn't let them in that mosque. Of course. Too bad. What? I just don't get it, Iran is putting an end to Israel's aggression. Some of this I look at. Oh, I have to wonder, is this AI? Come on. Is this really happening? And it is. It really is. Israeli forces pulling bodies from the rubble. It's pretty dangerous in Israel right now. And, well, I don't know if I could get a translator.
כל הזמן מספרים לי, אנחנו לא רוצים מלחמה בצפון, מנסים לפרש את כוונותיו של נסראללה, האם פניו למלחמה או לא למלחמה. מה צריך להעיר אתכם יותר מ-30 אזעקות, 30 שיגורים רק עכשיו, על הקריות, על נהריה, על מפרץ חיפה ועל הגליל העליון?
All right, so apparently he's saying we're trapped inside the tunnels like rats. Netanyahu and his wife and son are out having fun in America. Iran controls us. Our breathing rhythm and the residents of the North have become refugees in our own country. More than 30 air raid sirens and rocket salvos, and we're still waiting for a reading of Nasrallah's intentions. Okay, I need somebody to translate, but Israel. Now, this is amazing. This is someone who wants to get into a shelter, but he's locked out.
אנחנו יכולים להיכנס? יש אזעקה, מרחב מוגן? סליחה, אפשר להיכנס?
יש התקפה של טילים מאיראן. סליחה.
יש אזעקה, אפשר להיכנס לממ"ד?
כבוד השר, יש כאן מורה. אני מורה בישראל. היי, אני מורה. אתה יכול לפתוח לי בבקשה?
Now, I don't know if they were ever let in, but I can't imagine the Palestinians doing this. I can't imagine the Iranians doing this. I can't imagine Americans doing it. So apparently, Iran's spokesman for their Revolutionary Guard makes a major announcement. They are going to target every nook and cranny of Israel with modern missiles. We will grind their arrogance into the dust for the world to see. And what would you die for? If someone came to me and said, you give your life and every person on earth will never lie again, would I do it? Absolutely 100%. Absolutely 100%. I would do it. What would you die for? This woman said, if Iran would prosper in exchange for my life, I would accept that.
ایران واقعا جون ماست، ایران وطن ماست. بهم بگن در ازای جونت ایران آباد باشه، من قبول میکنم. شما مردم رو توی خیابون ببین، جواب سوالت همینه. انقلابی که مردمی باشه همیشه میمونه، به خاطر دینشون و کشورشون اومدن و
Absolutely 100%. But they have substance, they have principle, and they love their country. So here we are, suffering. All right. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. And so let's go back to our severe weather. It looks like they're turning down the severity here in Georgia and Florida, which is good. And I don't know. These storms in Oklahoma are not looking good at all. Here we have that thin strip still going on. And, well, let's look at how many. 7 for Illinois, Kansas, Ohio, Oklahoma, and Texas. Okay. I will post the alert page link, and everybody stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. And do what you can to make the world a better place. Do what you can. Live honestly and speak honestly. Good night, good luck, and ciao. Hope to see you tomorrow.